So by now, most of you have seen the viral moment between Michael B. Jordan and the reporter. They used to go to school together. Allegedly, she called him corny, or allegedly the people in her class that went to school with Michael B. Jordan called him corny back in the day. And we want to unpack the situation. We're not talking about Michael B. Jordan specifically, and we're not talking about the women. This isn't really about them, because y'all know us. We don't get into that. This video is about you. And this video is about, is there a principle that we can take from this situation that you can apply to your dating life right now? And the whole premise behind this is, are people missing out on good options, good husbands, good wives, because they're just looking at the outward appearance of people? See, we really want to talk about how easy it is to miss a good option for marriage based on superficial standards. Because if we're honest, babe, a lot of our initial standards on somebody and if they're a good catch is based on how they look, or based on what they do for a living and how much money they make.
And all those things change.
Now, the problem with that is that most times those standards are the exact opposite way that God has called us to live. See, the problem with that, though, is that most times the standards that we have for picking a good option is completely opposite to the way that God chooses people. And we say we want to be like God, but why don't we choose like God? See, if you remember in the Bible, it actually says that God looks at the heart and man looks at the outward appearance. But so often we look at the outward appearance only.
Right.
See, we're not even mad at looking at the outward appearance. Like, that's important. We're not telling you marry somebody ugly, date somebody ugly, but that can't be the only thing you look at. A lot of times people only look at looks, and I understand that, but I think sometimes we overlook potential. And I think that potential word gets a lot of people uncomfortable because I don't want to date potential. I need to date somebody that's established right now. When are you even established? Like, is anybody right? Is anybody everything that God has called them to be? No, we're all going to be in progression. And I think that's where the issue came in with Michael B. Jordan and how people looked at him when he was in school, is that people didn't see the potential that was on his life. So you look at him and he looks corny because apparently he was bringing his headshot to class, which, I should be honest, like, if I was in school, I probably would have clowned him too.
Right.
But it's crazy to me that people were calling him corny when he was already in movies and he was already...
Well, that's the thing, is if you know and have followed his career, like when he was in The Wire, he was in Friday Night Lights, he was in a lot of movies and shows as a child, as a teenager, and he looked the way he looked right now.
Okay, thank you. Let's keep it...
all he had cornrows, his teeth was all doing jagged.
Stop. Let's keep... We're going to keep it real. That Michael B. Jordan is not this Michael B. Jordan.
Right.
So that Michael B. Jordan, he may have looked corny. I don't know. I'm not saying he did or didn't.
He definitely wasn't no Creed or Killmonger.
But nobody is saying that now, and here's why. Because he didn't have the muscles and he didn't have the success. So that's another reason why people overlooked him.
Well, because he didn't have the muscles, he didn't have the facial hair, he didn't have the teeth, he didn't have the height, he didn't have the weight, he didn't have... the money.
This is why it's so important to live a life as much as you can like God. Because like we mentioned, God looks at the heart, but we look at the outward appearance. The Bible says it like this in 1 Samuel 16:7. But the Lord said to Samuel, don't judge by his appearance or his height, for I have rejected him. The Lord doesn't see things the way you see them. People judge by outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Is it possible that we don't have godly relationships because we don't look at things the same way God does when we're determining if we should connect with somebody?
Yeah, and I honestly feel like this message right here, this video is really for the ladies, because almost every woman in America, you're right, but a lot of, let's talk about for the guys and for the girls. You know, a lot of girls want a guy who looks like Michael B. Jordan, who has his success, but, you know, even talking about the Russell Wilson effect with Sierra, like, people don't want to be with guys when they are scrawny and corny and extras in a movie, and they're not, you know, like this big success, or guys want women who are beautiful, who are successful, who, you know, are independent, who can get it on their own and pay their own bills and all these different things. And you have to realize that every single person that you look up to and we've got this from feedback from people on Instagram before about like, oh yeah, all the guys out there right now are corny. Aren't there just like any guys that are established who love God? But the problem is, and someone even said like, oh well, by the time that they kind of get their lives together, they're married. It's kind of like the glow up is after the ring. And sometimes that's the case, but that's why it's important for you to go after someone's heart, not just how they look or where their status is in life, because that will change. And I know that a lot of people who are successful by kind of like these standards that we're talking about in Western culture, like they have a hard time finding people who are genuine, because it's like, well, do you just want me for my success, for my money, for my muscles, whatever? Like, you want someone who loves you for you, because guess what? The same Michael B. Jordan you see on the red carpet, it's not the same Michael B. Jordan that is at home, you know, playing video games in his PJs.
Yeah. Now again, we're just using this as an example. We're not endorsing Michael Jordan because we don't know him. So we're not talking about that in the sense of, is this the example?
Right.
But what we want you to catch here is the principle, because when we say you want to look at a person's heart, one of the things we're saying is the reason people slept on Michael B. Jordan and didn't see the potential is because they weren't looking at the hard work. What middle schooler or high schooler you know has a headshot, and that is to being serious about their craft? And like clearly he was showing that he was a hard worker, that he was determined, that he was focused.
He believed in himself.
Those are things you want to be looking for. When you're looking at a man, it's not all about looks. Does he have a future that he's working towards? Is he a hard worker? Does he go to his job? Does he have integrity?
Yeah.
Is he a good friend? Does he show up and serve? Like, those are things you want to be looking for more than looks. Because to be honest, looks don't carry a relationship.
At all.
Looks definitely help. Looks are definitely nice, but they don't carry a relationship. So let's go back to the Bible real quick. Y'all all know King David and King Saul. King Saul was the first king of Israel, and he did not make it. And here's the thing. Saul was better looking than David, but he didn't have the right heart. Again, going back to the heart, that's what keeps you. Right. That's what keeps a marriage, is the heart. And the Bible is clear that while David was alive, he was not as good looking as Saul. The Bible says it like this in 1 Samuel 9:2. His son Saul was the most handsome man in Israel, head and shoulders taller than anyone else in the land. Meanwhile, the Bible said David was all right looking. The Bible said that he was dark and handsome with beautiful eyes. Now, this is why I love the Bible, and this is why you should love this channel. Because we are not saying you should just date anyone. We're not saying you should date somebody that's ugly to you. The Bible says that David was handsome.
Right.
He just was not the most handsome.
Right.
And this is where I think we get caught up sometimes, is because we want somebody who has the most money. Yeah. We want somebody who has the most influence. We want somebody who has the most good-looking traits. And sometimes we can get so caught up in looking for someone who has the most that we miss out on the person who is best for us.
Yeah.
Let that sit. That's a bar. Let me say it again. We can get so caught up in looking for someone who has the most that we miss out on the person who is best for us.
Yeah.
So what if it's true that your husband or your wife is not the most handsome man in America?
Right.
Are you going to be okay with that? Can you date somebody that's handsome to you, but they ain't going to be on no GQ cover as Sexiest Man?
But to be honest, you probably won't be either.
But they have strong character. They are a hard worker. They love people well. Like, just be honest. What's more important? I think more people would go on more dates if they had the mindset that I'm not just looking for someone who's the most attractive. I'm looking for someone that's going to be kind to me. I'm looking for someone that when they tell me they're going to do something, they're going to actually do it. See, I'm confident that there were things, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm confident there were things about me that Pauline didn't love before we started dating. And I'm sure she had to choose to, you know what, like, yeah, I wish this was different, but I see all these other areas where Tim may be a good fit. And I didn't love, and Pauline knows this, I didn't love the way she dressed when we first started dating, but I loved her heart. And guess what? Her fashion changed, but her heart has remained the same, and that's why our marriage worked. Our marriage doesn't work because she dresses different. Our marriage doesn't work because now when she knows how to work that makeup game strong, like she beat that face, like that face.
Not today, but other days.
Like the things that I could have been worried about, the cosmetic things that I could have been worried about, Pauline,
easy to change.
That are easy to change or easy to be different. those would never have sustained our marriage.
Right.
Almost 5 years in. What has sustained it is that Pauline is a hard worker. Is that she's someone who loves God with all her heart. She's someone who is kind, who's a good friend.
Aww.
Those are the things that has kept our marriage. And that's what we want you to get. Please don't get caught up in superficial stuff.
Right. And also, I think this whole example with the clip from Michael B. Jordan, I think that, you saw his reaction and his kind of facial expressions. Like, people don't forget.
Oh, he remembered it.
He said the corny one, right? And he you have to... Yeah. Like, people don't forget because, when you are building, and of course, I'm sure he's still building, there's a lot of things that he wants to accomplish. And that should be all of our hearts, no matter... where we are in our lives, so we want to always grow and do better. But when people are at that very vulnerable stage, and this is why it's so beautiful, I know not everybody does or can get married in their 20s or when they're younger, and that's not always even best. But it is such a beautiful thing, when you do have the opportunity to grow with someone as long as you possibly can. A lot of times we want marriage to be this capstone of okay, once I get my life together, then I'll get married. Or once he gets his life together, then I'll consider dating him. Or once she gets her life together, then maybe I will take her a little bit more seriously. And then when you get to that place, you look around and you're like, dang, ain't nobody around. And it's because that's not, the right mindset to have. This is someone who you are growing with and you are loving through the ups and the downs, the good and the bad times of that year and their life, realizing hey, yeah, maybe you got cornrows right now and you looking corny, but I know with your work ethic and how hard you work and how much you believe in yourself, you're gonna be really successful one day just because of your heart, not because of the small topical superficial things that you're doing right now, but because the reason behind what you are doing, the results will come later.
Yeah, that's really good. And that's our whole message. Please, we hope you didn't miss this. Don't miss out on good options that you can build with because you're waiting for someone that appears to have it all built up already.
Yeah,
because
doesn't exist.
There's a difference between building on a strong foundation and building on a weak one. Someone that appears to have it all may not have really built their foundation on solid rock, and 20, 10, 5 years from now, whatever it looks like they have can crumble and go to pieces. Whereas you have the person that you're going to have to build with, where in 5, 10, 20 years, you're going to have everything that you wanted because you built it, and it's going to be sustained because you did it the right way.
Right. You always want to focus and make decisions with the long game in mind. So someone who you potentially may be, dating, or someone that's in your community that's kind of an option for you, but you're nope, they can't dress, they're corny, they don't know how to talk game, all the things that are wrong with them. But you have to also ask yourself, am I in this to have a good date? Am I in this to have a cute relationship for the next 6 months? Or am I looking for a lifelong partner? It's kind of even with recruiting, sports players and things like that. You have to be able to see the potential and realize there is going to be growth. There's going to be molding. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be a period of failure. You guys already know my favorite and the absolute greatest quarterback of all time, Tom Brady, he was a nobody. What was he, the 100th draft or something like that?
6th round pick.
And he's literally the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. But he's the most underrated draft. People look back at his draft pick photos and it's he looks like a nobody. But he believed in himself, number one, which is the most important thing. We see that with Michael B. Jordan too. He believed in himself when he was in middle school, but you also, you want to be able to be with people at that time if you can. It's so precious, because when you are able to grow with someone, they know, oh, you loved me when I had nothing. Especially for us women, guys really, really, really want that, and then girls want that too. But because that's what marriage is about, is the ups and the downs. It's not just about being somebody's arm candy or getting the benefits and of the fruits of their labor. Oh, I'm glad that your rough period of acting is over, Michael, and everybody pays you millions of dollars now. Yeah, sure, everybody. I mean, who said it best? Back then they didn't want me. Now I'm hot. They're all on me.
Mike who?
Yeah,
Mike Jones.
You don't want to be that person. Be a person of character. Be a person that says, I saw potential in that. I know Kirk Franklin was even talking about that with his wife, how, she was with him when he was homeless and he had, nobody listened to his tapes and all that stuff. And, now they've been married almost 30 years.
Yeah. So, in closing, the next time someone suggests you should consider somebody, the next time you see somebody that could be a potential option, instead of instantly saying no because there may be one or two things cosmetically that you don't like about them, do some more research into their character.
Don't be shallow.
Do some more research into their character. Do some more research in evaluating, God, is this somebody that can fit with the calling you've given me? Because there are certain things about their work ethic, or there are certain things about what they're doing right now that fit well with what I believe you called me to do. And then pray and ask God if you should consider going out with them on a date. That doesn't mean you're going to marry them. That just means you're keeping your options open. If you want practical help with how to do that, we're going to put in our description some of the free resources we have where we walk you through, whether you're a woman or a man, how do you shoot your shot well? How do you connect with people? So we're going to put that in the description so you can definitely take a look at that. So remember, it's not about the outward appearance only. That matters, but it's also about the heart, which is the most important matter. Until next time, fam.
Bye.
Thanks for watching this video.
To get more Christian relationship advice, subscribe to our channel.
And make sure you check out our other videos as well.